welcome. I am a past graduate of ABC boot camp. I did go through, I believe it was in 2014. And so just to give you a little bit more of my background, uh, I grew up on a family orchard farm, beef farm. And so I was in the agriculture side of being raised as a child. And I guess went off to school, went off to the technical side, tried to figure out my path. What should I do? Where should I go? I got into the corporate world. That's been fun, but it was not very rewarding at all. And so my roots were farming. And so kind of using that. And so coming back to that, trying to figure out how do I get back into that? Because farming is difficult to get into, especially if you don't have any acreage. The family farm was already wrapped up in doing apples and beef, and I was trying to find my life with my wife and family and kids, and so all this stuff started happening. And so let's go down to Columbus. And so I worked down in Columbus for a while, and then realized, okay, we got to get back into farming. This is not fun. And so this is basically how I did it. Is coming through a boot camp class. I really didn't have any background in fish. I talked to a guy. I was at a county fair, and so there was a county fair just outside of Canton, Ohio, in Stark County. And in that building, it was a Farm Bureau building. They had a demonstration, or just he had his stuff. He had fish there that he was showing of him raising fish and just some stuff. And so I was there all week in that building as we was kind of handing out apple slicing and taste testing. And it was a great opportunity just for me to kind of, wow, that was kind of cool, ask a bunch of questions, just perked my interest. Several years went by. The boot camp class came open, and I was like, well, I guess let's see if we can make this a go. And this could be really something we do as a family. Since then, we started off with 3 kids, and now I think we're up to 9 kids. And so we needed to kind of figure out a way to, my wife, I think, main intention was, how can I get this guy to stay at home? And so it was trying to keep me at home, closer to home. And so I wasn't off at work all day long. And so how do we do that? And so this was basically how we established it in our family to do that. And so I started off with tilapia. Started off with pilot operations, small little scale operations. As I went through this boot camp class, this whole year-long process, learning, figuring out things, I had no idea about the industry. So it was very vital for me to understand about the industry. It opened my eyes up to actually who's doing it in the industry. And so getting connected was a very key part of this, is getting connected with other farmers that's actually successful doing it. Because you see a lot of these stories on the internet, on YouTube, on people creating things and making things, but you have no idea if they're making money or if it just flopped a year later, and you just don't know. And so how do I get good information? And so this boot camp established that, gave us the resources to get good information, making sure we're getting it from credible sources. You're definitely going to be introduced to Dean and Paul. The other ones basically hands-on with you guys a lot. And so you're going to learn a lot of information. They got 20, 30 plus years of doing this day to day as a job for them. And so it was very valuable. The other piece is, it's been mentioned, I'm the president of the Ohio Aquaculture Association. Mike's the vice president back there. We all kind of a little bit younger than traditional president, vice president, but we are taking that because we're trying to revitalize the industry. The industry is really young, and so there's not very many of us. The membership for our association, I think we're up around 85 to 89 members in the association. And so we get together once a year to have our conference. It's a day-and-a-half conference. We bring in lots of presentations, and that's the opportunity for us farmers to get together and socialize. We talk about farm stuff. We talk about what's going well, what's not going well. We joke about all the failures that we've had in the past year and how to make it better. And so that's really where we learn from each other as an industry, is during that conference time. And so we have some social aspects to that too. We go to Top Golf and we hit some golf balls too, and have fun with a few drinks as well. But so that was very key into being successful in this, is because a lot of people are not successful here. Anytime you start a new business, it's tough to be successful. And so unless you're connected with other successful people, that you can ask questions to and figure this out, it makes it very difficult. And so just being here is going to open you guys up to being a lot more successful potentially in the future. And so there's a lot of different diversity here. Aquaculture itself is very diverse. And so the industry is very diverse. All these species of different fish, it's kind of like raising cows or raising dogs versus raising a tilapia or raising a bass. And so it's two different species of animals. And so how you feed them, what type of water they live in, how you take care of them is totally different. How do I take care of a beef cow, or how do I take care of a dog is going to be different. Same thing, just because they're living in water doesn't mean that you take care of them the same way and the needs are the same. And so it becomes very diverse. And in an indoor recirculating system is different than people raising fish outside in ponds. Raising fish in a greenhouse. You're going to hear about Mike, and he's going to talk about his aquaponics operation that he has. And so that's different. He's trying to put two ecosystems together, plant life and fish life together. I can hardly get fish life together sometimes correct. So I haven't incorporated the plants yet. But that's a whole nother avenue that we can do later. But Mike does it very successfully, and he'll talk about that later. But so we all are a very diverse industry, and so it's trying to find your niche in there. Right now, I have no issue selling fish, whether I'm selling fish to the food markets or whether I'm selling fish to the pond stocking people that want to stock ponds. There is a very high demand. I raise tilapia, and that's all I've ever raised was tilapia. Trying to get my head around to raise other species at the same time in the same water is tough because it's all indoors for me. I built an indoor recirculating system, and it's very tough to commingle species together indoor when you have an indoor recirculating system. You can do it a little bit better out in ponds, but even the pond people, it's all one species in one pond, one species in another pond. They all take different food that they need, different parameters. Some do better when they're crowded together. Some do better when they're separated. And so you gotta kind of figure that balance out. But I have no issue selling food fish right now. And I started off thinking I'm only going to sell food fish. I started off thinking this operation, going and visiting as many other fish farms as I could, going to the conference, meeting other fish farmers, showing up at their facilities. I mean, asking to show up at the facility, not just showing up, but asking to kind of go see their stuff, their operations, so that I can take it in and see actually what's working. Because everyone's situation, everyone's property is different. How much land you have? Are you putting ponds in? Or are you going to put it in a barn? Are you going to make your own barn? And so trying to figure out how do I adapt this to my needs. Do I set up a greenhouse? Am I looking just to sell to my local community? Do I just need a small greenhouse just for my family and maybe friends to raise greens out of? And so whatever your needs are and whatever you're taking from this, the industry is on the aquaculture side here in Ohio is still at its infancy stages. There's not many of us really growing a lot of fish on a large scale. Because we haven't filled the demand for recreational purposes. So I consider pond stocking recreational. We're taking a fish and we're putting it in someone's recreational pond for them to either catch with a hook and tackle, bait and tackle, or we're putting it in there because they like seeing big fish or they like the water quality to be nice. And so I see that as recreational. The food side is the consumer base that's looking for nutritional value. When we think about recreational value in our consumer side, our consumer value, we tend to spend a lot more money when we go on vacation. We tend to spend a lot more money when it comes to, hey, I want this nice four-wheeler to go ride on the weekends. We spend a lot more money on recreational items. And so people tend to spend more money to stock their own pond that they're never going to really eat. When we go to the supermarket to buy food, we're kind of looking like, what's the best deal? We haven't really been raised in America so much as I'm looking for the best quality, the highest price food. I know where it's coming from, and I'm going to pay the top dollar for it. That's usually not what we do when we go to the supermarket. We go and we try and buy the cheapest thing that is still going to fill our bellies. It might not be the best for us, and we really don't care somewhat. Give me the ground beef. I'll do a steak every so often. We don't do steak very often because I got 10 mouths to feed. So it's ground meat but no. And so there's two different looks here, but we haven't even filled the demand for pond stocking. And so my facility, my farm, we started off as food fish. I wanted to do food all year round. And then I get these pond people showing up to my stuff, my property, the pond stocking companies, whether it's Jones, whether it's Fenders, there's lots of different other pond stocking companies that do pond management in Ohio that already have this huge customer base. They're traveling down south to get fish brought up into Ohio to supply the needs. They need tilapia because it's a great alternative for algae and vegetation control through the summer. And the great thing for me is they all die off in the winter and I get to restock them again the next spring. And so there's a big need there for the tilapia on the pond stocking side, but there's a huge need on the food side as well. And so the prices kind of keep combating each other. I'm getting a really good price on the pond stocking side. The food side isn't as great, but it's still profitable if I wanted to go that direction. And so we haven't filled the one need. There's this huge other need over here. I can't supply my grocery store markets with all the fish. I think it's even been said, I think someone bought someone's facility because they couldn't keep up with the market demand with their own facility. And so they decided to sell their facility and just go start hauling fish. I'm just going to go down south. I'm going to start hauling fish so I know I have a supply. I'm going to supply this market every week, every 2 weeks, and then I'll just build it that way. And so there's a lot of fish that comes from down south every week that hits these food markets. These are live food markets. And we're not even getting into the people filleting fish yet. We're not even getting into people trying to sell over to other states. We're just trying to sell in our local communities, 45 minutes, a half an hour away, and these markets just cannot be supplied enough. And so what happens is, I guess what I'm saying is there's a high demand for fish in the industry. It's not just tilapia. I know my Asian markets that I deliver tilapia to, they want bass. And it's tough to get bass because all these bass for the pond stocking needs are all small. They want a 6-8 inch fish to go into their pond. And so all the bass gets sold to the pond stocking because they can sell them then. The food markets, they need them a little bit bigger to get a good sized fillet out of them. But what farmer wants to hold on to that product if they can get it sold for about the same price, if not maybe a little more, at a younger juvenile fish? And so there's a huge need. And so we have to work together as farms. We have to work together in this industry. And that's kind of my mindset is all of us tilapia growers that grow fish and tilapia, we talk to each other. We try and communicate with each other on our needs, what we're seeing. Where can we get fingerlings from? Where can we get feed from? What's working well for you? What's not working well? Hey, I got this customer over here that needs fish. Can you help them? They're closer to you than me. And so we're trying to help each other out. And it's not just the same species together. It's the whole industry. We get together in our conferences, and we have the last several years we've been doing roundtable discussions just to getting us to talk and communicate about the industry. We are way too small of an industry not to be working together. And so we're in a small industry that it's too easy for one person to fail. When I got into, I don't have any display or picture, but when I got into building my facility, it comes down to basically this: no one's going to come to your facility and build it for you. There's no one that's going to be putting the ponds or the tanks together except you. I mean, you could pay for someone to do it, but most likely it's going to be you putting the electric in. It's going to be you connecting all the plumbing. It's going to be you that's going to be figuring out, how do I flow this water? What pump size do I need? how am I going to oxygenate this water? How am I going to check the water quality? So all this it comes down to, you guys have to have the input. You guys have to have the ability to take that ownership on, because it's you guys are going to be managing it. And you don't want someone else putting your facility together and coming up with a design, and you have no idea how they put it together. And so when something goes wrong or broke, you're like starting, I don't know how this thing even got put together. And so not to say that you don't want to go and vet this to someone else or use someone else's design, but you have to be the one putting that stuff together. Don't let someone else put your system together and then you just try and manage it, because that's probably not going to be a great. You can go buy someone's equipment and design and stuff, but you need to be the one that knows how it's put together. You need to be the one that understands this pump is sized to push this much water this high over here at this volume because my fish need it or my plants need it. And if I downsize that pump and I put the wrong pump in there, it might throw my parameters off, and you might not even know that. And it might take you a year and a half to figure that out, that, oh, this is why the water quality is not doing so well. This is why my fish started dying. And it might take you a year to figure that out. It's probably because I put a wrong size pump in there, and I probably shouldn't have been skipping and actually spent the amount of money I needed to for that pump, because I knew I needed that amount of water over here, rather than going the cheap route and putting a cheaper pump in there. And so you have to figure out this stuff as well. But
questions. We need questions for Corinth, please, because he has how many years of experience now? 6?
So I started 2014. I didn't build the facility in 2018. So that's another aspect, is don't try and jump into the deep end of this swimming pool. It's not going to go well for you. You're going to have to dip your toes into it. Figure this out. Take your time gradually building on this, understanding this. You're going to kill lots of fish. I think that's already been said. A lot of people, that's what happens. You're not really considered a fish farmer until you kill at least 10,000 fish. And so, so yes, it's bad, but it's going to happen. You might not kill them all at the same time, but you're going to kill them.
So, two questions. You have your own factory, or you make your own feed too?
So feed, no. I don't make my own food. It's very difficult to make feed. You want to, if we are raising these fish to grow them as quick as possible and to look the best, you want to have good quality feed. And there's not too many feed experts out there that we can source all the products we need, whether it's vitamins, whether it's the fats, whether it's the proteins, whatever that's going into that feed, the filler. We don't have the ability to source all that and then have the equipment. That equipment's $500,000 just probably for one processing piece of equipment, one mill to pelletize it. And so usually we find the feed mills that already had the nutritionists. They understand the diets. They're making different diets for us. Not to say that we couldn't someday get the mills closer, but I use a mill that's out of Pennsylvania, and so it's Ziegler, and they make a tilapia diet, and tilapia diet over there is pretty cheap because it's for my grow out diet, a lot of it is soybean based, and so tilapia can handle that. But you feed a soybean based diet to a bass right now, and the technology we have and how we're processing the soy meal, bass isn't going to do so well trying to eat plant food. So you don't want to do that. And so it's understanding some of these things. Other question was hatchery. So my source, again, I started off on the food side. Tilapia, they need to be big. You want them to grow as quick and as fast as possible. You're going to go all males. So I source them out to Americulture is in New Mexico, and Spring Genetics is in Florida. And so I get these from hatcheries. Again, I'm trying to get two different sources. I don't want to just get stuck with one hatchery. Something happens to that hatchery. Now I'm out of my source of fingerlings. And so it's about every 8 weeks or so I was bringing in new fingerlings, about a half a gram fish. And you bring them in, they get airplane flight to you, I don't know, about 8,000 fish or so, 5,000 to 8,000 fish at a time. And so they was all male. They give them a hormone feed treatment when they're really young a lot of yep. So a lot of fish can be kind of pushed one way or another depending on the feed treatment. Again, I don't have that license to be able to do that, to get the hormone to feed. So that'd be another step for me to have to learn and to do and to be regulated under. And so it's just easier for you to buy them. And I can get them all the same size that come into me. But I do raise and I do breed my own when it comes to the pond side. So I put them out in my own pond. I have a recreational pond. The kids love swimming in it. I kind of made it for them. And then I said, hey, there's nothing else in here. We're going to put tilapia in here. My kids would like to have bass and bluegill and everything to catch. I'm like, nope, we're just going to keep this for tilapia. I put tilapia in there, about 100 tilapia. They're pretty big size right now. But I put them in the pond. I let them naturally breed. It's pretty easy when you let Mother Nature do it. And then we just net them all out, big seining nets, and I bring them in the barn then. We just did that a couple weeks ago, and I bring all the fry then in the barn. Those will mix. Those are going to be males and females together, even different breeds of tilapia. So it's not just one, because when I'm trying to go for food fish, I'm trying to get one breed that I know has good genetics. It's going to grow the biggest, and it has a good demand for the color. Different ethnic groups, they like different looks of fish too. And so some like a white fish, some like a blue fish. And so you got to figure that out too sometimes. But
yeah, maybe probably the follow-up question will be, okay, you don't have your own hatchery, you don't make your own food. So then what is the biggest cost of your operations? Like if you have to buy both crucial part of the business, then
So when it comes down to the hatchery side, it's not a huge cost buying fish. They're about 11, 12 cents a fish right now. So that's really not a big part of it. Yes, there's some frustrations of maybe having to get them shipped in and things like that, but I don't worry too much about the hatchery side. We're not there yet. I'm not a big enough operation that I need my own per se for the food fish. But it's the feed cost is huge. That's probably you're closer to number one. Right behind that, I'm in an indoor recirculating system. It's my energy cost. My electricity is crazy. I got pumps running all the day, 24 hours a day. Speaking of Mike being late, yes, I walked out into the fish farm, the building this morning, and I heard that sound that, hey, that isn't usually what it sounds like in here. I go over and one of the pumps isn't working. And so that just happens. And so that's something I get to deal with when I go home and figure that out. Okay.
Oh, back to the question of the source of hatchery. When you say it's all males, how much they claim that is 98%, 95% males?
All males? I don't. I think they said it was like 98%. And so when they do the hormone feed treatment, they're not sexing every fish. They're just doing the treatment. This is the average. It's about 98% all males. You do get, I guess, a few females in there.
Personal experience, is 98, true 98?
I've never looked at them that heavy. I would say it's high 90s. You do see a few females here and there, but you're not going to see very many. But yeah.
Come across with any accident, some of they are not like 98% with any batch.
No. No.
We do a lot of research work here about sex reverse. If you use hormone to change the sex of the fish, no matter the bluegill, tilapia, and yellowbreast, you can get 100%. 98, 100.
98.
There you go. They say 98 just to cover their behind, but I guess it's 100%.
Another question. How much is the flight take from Florida to your place and from Mexico? And what is the stress factor? Any mortality, transit mortality?
Yeah, anytime you're moving fish, you're going to stress them out a little bit. Juvenile fish, you're going to stress out. And so you might lose 1% or 2% of mortality, maybe. They usually do fairly well. People's been moving fish ever since fish have been around. People's been figuring out how to move fish. And so they put them in plastic bags. They put pure oxygen in there, ammonia blockers in there. They're packaged in a way. I got to go on a fish tour with Herbert last year. That was great. I went down to Arkansas, And you're gonna want to see some fish places down there. Man, they had they're moving fish every week to pet stores. You know what I mean? And they're taking the goldfish and they're packing them and they go on FedEx box all out. And that was kind of a neat operation to kind of see how they package all those to all your, think about all your pet stores across the country. And so it was kind of a neat operation. But yes, they've been moving fish fairly easy. So you don't get too many that's going to die. You might if they get stressed out in some way. If the box gets overheated or didn't have enough a cool pack in there to stay cool, or something else happened, the water temperatures weren't right, and it's usually just talking with the supplier and saying, hey, this batch didn't do so well. I was like, yeah, I was kind of wondering that because this and this happened, and I didn't know if that was gonna, but yeah, it's usually fairly simple. And so, energy cost question. Oh. It really depends on your needs. I mean, I've supplied tilapia to other urban environments, small greenhouses. You mean a grow out tank that's basically as big as this table, you know, and then they take all that water and they're circulating it through their plants, and the greenhouse is as big as, you know, I mean, this room up here. So it doesn't take a lot of space. Yeah. So in a greenhouse, I don't know, a lot. So once you start putting plants into your equation, and you're trying to make money, you're going to make money on your plants. The tilapia is going to be the secondary market for you. Yes, you can make money on the tilapia, but you're not in it to sell fish. You're in it to sell the plants. You want a consistent volume of plants coming. Mike can talk more on that when he comes up here and gives you some more numbers. I'm not very good at doing plants yet, and so. Yes, and so he can talk more about that, but there definitely is a cycle, and you got to keep that balance, the two ecosystems there. So you got to have the same amount of fish always giving you the same amount of nutrients always, and your plants always have to be enough to take that same amount of nutrients, and so you have to balance that.
Okay, so I'm going to go quickly over this. It's only 7 minutes just to keep it on track. But the idea is showing a little bit of the status of aquaculture, aquaponics in Ohio and the US. So basically, I think at this point we already know what is aquaculture and what is this about. And I'm going quickly overview of world aquaculture, the US aquaculture, and finally Ohio. So just a couple of slides. But aquaculture is the propagation and breeding of aquaculture species. And this is defined in the US code. In the number 7, this is the World Fisheries Aquaculture. So basically, in 2022, basically we already reached the point where aquaculture is more than half of the production of food fish and fisheries that is in the world. So before, like in the early 90s to 90s, basically most of what we were getting in for food fish was coming from capture. Now, in the last 40 years, we have just already like doubled that amount, and right now it's more than 50%. In US, what we were finding is that if these deep colors here is where we are producing more. So what do they have in common? Coastal areas, right? So here we have over the Gulf, here the Pacific, and then here we have the East Coast. Some of these are related like salmon. Here we have different species. Here, what is this known for? Catfish, right? So if we look in this state, well, Florida is known for tropical fish, aquarium, most of that. But here, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, catfish. and then Arkansas, bait fish and sport fish. Now, in our case, in Ohio, as I said, 2 years ago when I came, I just got surprised because in the past I have been in Alabama and Arkansas mainly. And what I found a surprise is that the first fish farm was here in Ohio. And the first people who reproduced fish were 2 physicians from Cleveland. So that was kind of quite amazing for me. But anyway, this is basically one of the opportunities that we see for aquaculture is because it's growing, because there are demands for healthy seafood products. It's increasing. So for me, I really wish that, see, this Ohio is kind of, we're not there in terms of the production, but we can get there. So basically that's the idea, just see how we can grow this more for healthy seafood products. And this one is from 2022, the National Security Memorandum, where U.S. agriculture includes aquaculture, and again, it's defined as the aquaculture was defined as the breeding and harvesting of fish, shellfish, algae, and other organisms. But in addition, they also included aquaponics, which is a combination of fish and plant production. This is very important because this is allowing us to apply for several, from a legal standpoint of view, and probably Cory's briefly touched on that, but we have been working in the last year and a half with Mike on how we can get funding from some of these federal agencies to bring those and help aquaculture, because it's unknown basically. So we are trying to see how we can support the industry through letting people know about aquaculture. But Cory's already mentioned, we have a huge, diverse industry. So we have yellow perch, largemouth bass, bluegill, tilapia, rainbow trout, red ear, koi, goldfish, freshwater shrimp, marine shrimp, and even we have corals. In all those grown here in Ohio. So this is a huge diversity. We have more than 36 species. And the point is that you need to find what is your market, what are you targeting? And Cory's touched on those two, like where are you going to sell your product, and the scale also is very important. How to start it. And what we're trying to do with this ABC is to provide you with those tools and those elements that you are able to take those decisions and drive successfully through this industry. We have different aquaculture systems. We have earthen ponds, we have tanks, earthen ponds, again tanks here, and this is, there is only one facility here right now that has this floating income railways. I see this, particularly this, as a huge potential for growing the industry in Ohio. We will see one of these producers next month, yeah, there are, this is in a quarry lake area, and they are producing largemouth bass and bluegill and red ear sunfish, and they are doing pretty well. So they are in a learning process. They have been in business only for 3 years, and they are just trying to strive through this process. Again, this one is more kind of a, so the previous ones were outdoors, all the time, outdoor systems. Now we have also indoor systems like the one that Cory has and other people. And here this is for tilapia mainly. And then there are several things that you were asking about, and one of those is feed also. And basically all the feed is, we have to source the feed from other states. We have source or finger is also like not only tilapia from New Mexico or Florida, but if we are looking about like largemouth bass or baitfish, most of those are coming from Arkansas. So there is an opportunity for the aquaculture industry to grow in some areas, and one of those areas is hatchery. If you see that as a potential, you could start growing towards that side and trying to provide those fingerlings to all other producers. This is kind of the map of where we have facilities right now, and most of these are unknown for many people, but we have over 79 facilities for aquaculture. So this is growing. In 1998, when we had the first census of aquaculture for the U.S., there were only 33 facilities in Ohio. In 2020, well, then from 33 it jumped to 50, and it was around 50 until 2017. But last year, 2024, we got the census from 2023, and we have currently 79 facilities. So that has been jumping and growing in Ohio. If we see the how it's in the US, it has been because it was declining, but now it's going up again. Now in terms of sales, here, basically in 2018, we had about $1.5 billion in sales. In 2022, $1.75 billion. In Ohio, from this 1.75, we only have in 2018 only $9 million, and by that in 5 years jumped to 14.5 million. So it's almost 50% increase. What species? Well, catfish just declined from 296 million to 16. Trout also decreased, but other two fish have jumped. And what are all those other fish? Tilapia and largemouth bass. Yep. So you can see how they grow from 784,000 to almost 2 million. The other that has been growing is baitfish because on stocking, so many people want to have baitfish for getting their trophy fish. Then ornamental fish, goldfish and koi, and game fish, 3 million to 5.3 million. So there is a market that is growing, and Corey is also already pointing out that. And then there are other crustaceans. Crustaceans, basically shrimp, freshwater shrimp, and marine shrimp, and that jumped from 38,000 to 159. So because we don't have a huge, we don't have that many facilities. Now the other is aquaponics farms in Ohio. Mike is going to be talking in, already took 5 minutes from him, but we are going to talk right now about aquaponics. But this is really also important for us. In US in 2024, according to the census, there are 108 facilities in the US in aquaponics. 17 of those facilities are in Ohio, which means it has the highest percentage of aquaponics facilities in the US. And that's also really important. I think that's all. So with this one, there are opportunities to grow in different aspects, so like shrimp and algae and other things, but that's what we are going to develop through this ABC program. So with this, Mike.